Hi everybody, it's Erik from the Jones Museum in Bloomsburg, and today I'm going to be teaching you about 3D printing. In our last video I talked about designing a 3D print, but now I'm going to actually talk about the printer itself. So right beside me I have one of the museum's 3 3D printers, and as you can see it kind of looks like a little bit like a beast, and there's a lot of open space. So what we have over here is we have our control panel, and that talks to the computer over here. And we got our power from over here. And so that's the program, that's the computer, that's how it all happens. But that's not the cool part. The cool part is this little box over here. So this is where the magic happens. If you can see, right at the bottom of this box, there's a little metal tip. And it looks like there's a little white swirl coming out of it. And that little white swirl right here, that's actually plastic. And the little metal tip, it's called the extruder, and that's where the magic happens. When the machine's running, it'll get up to 200 degrees Celsius, which in degrees Fahrenheit, it's about 390 degrees Fahrenheit, which, I don't know about you, but that's hotter than most of my food gets cooked at. So it's very hot and you can't touch it. And right now it's just at room temperature. So what happens is, as this gets really hot, and as you can see, there's one fan here and another fan here for when it actually gets going. So it gets really hot. What happens is, if you've ever seen like an X and Y chart, you do at school where you plot it out and you can draw all those fancy pictures with. Well, we've got our X, our X is going this way. So it'll go along this beam, this box. Here, actually, I'll make it so that I can move it a little bit. Let's see. So here's the control board. And it has a whole bunch of fancy little settings that you can tap and click. And right now I'm going to disable the steppers, which means that I can grab this and I can pull it out and show you how things move. So first we have our X direction, which the printer moves along this way. And so the computer will tell it where to go. And then as it's doing that, it'll also be moving in the Y direction, which is back and forth. But then, because it's a 3D printer, we get the cool part of, here, I'll do this via the computer because it goes a lot faster. I'm going to move the Z axis, which is up and down. I'm going to move it up, and so it going up is actually how we can print out stuff, and this printer can go just about up to here, so it could probably print about 1 foot high if, at that point prints get a little wonky, but we could print huge things that obviously you couldn't do it on a normal printer, and so that's what makes this 3D printer so awesome. So the computer will have it be moving the X and the Y and the Z all at once, and that's how you get really awesome creations. Once that gets down, I'm going to do the auto home, which will bring it back to all the normal settings. I'm going to set it to preheat PLA, which, as you can see, all these 2 temperatures here, this is the extruder and that's the print bed, which I'll talk about in a little bit. Their temperature is rising, and it's rising pretty fast. This extruder is going from about 20 degrees and it's going to go all the way up to about, I think it rests at 180, so it's actually almost done. But the print bed, this gets warm too, so that when you're printing, your print will stay good. And it won't warp and it won't get wonky. As you can tell, this plastic up here is rigid, it's solid at room temperature. We have obviously we have a lot of room temperature coming in, and this bed can only heat so much. And so what we actually have here is this is plastic filament, it's PLA filament, and what we do is sometimes they come on big rolls, but this is just a little kind of like a coil, and so it'll come and it hangs right over here, and it gets pulled down through a little mechanism over here, a little motor that'll turn, and then it can get pushed through and it'll come all the way out into here and make the printer work. And it's a very durable plastic, and you can do a lot of cool things with it. And there's different types too. I think it's ABS. But as this is heating up, I'm going to tell you how we actually get it to print what we want it to. So over here, we have the chess pawn that I made with you guys in the last Tinkercad video, which if you aren't sure how to make this, go check out the last video. But I'm going to teach you what you do after you make your design. So, we want to just download, and we need to download it. We use STL. There are different ways you can download it. An STL or an OBJ are 3D models, and it will conserve that it's a three-dimensional object. Then it also has a 2D file if you're going to use a laser cutter, but we're not doing that today. We're going to make a 3D file. So I'm going to download an STL, and I'm just going to save the file, and so that should be going to my downloads folder. There we go. So let's see, I'm going to restart this. Here we go. So it's chess pawn right here. So here we have the 3D model, and now I'm going to open it on a program called Cura. It's from Ultimaker, which makes 3D printers, but also makes this wonderful free program that you can take your 3D models, and so I'm going to take it and download for my downloads, chess pawn. We're going to open it up there. Look, there it is. And so you can see it's definitely 3D there. Let's see if I can manipulate it. You can see 3D. It's all there. It's awesome. And the importance of Cura is that as of right now, this is just kind of like a big block. And even though the printer is awesome, it can print in 3 different directions, up and down, left and right, and back and forth, it doesn't know what to do with the blob. So we need to slice it up into really, really thin layers. So it would be almost like you're going to stack a whole bunch of sheets of paper on top of each other to build something. But the best part is it all connects and makes one big object. So we need to make it into we need to stack it up, and we need to make it so that the computer can actually read it. This computer can read that file. So if you'll notice on Cura, we have a button called Slice. So I'm going to slice it. Alright, there we go. I'm going to save to file. So now this is called a G code, which is very useful because what I have here is this is a USB converter for a micro SD chip, and the printer, it has a micro SD slot here. This will go in here, and this will take the G code, which is the sliced form of the 3D model, and it'll tell the printer how to make it. So this is very important, and what we need to do is, because it's so small, we need the converter, and you just plug it into your computer. Here we go. So now as that pops up, I'm just going to save this directly to it. So you can see there's a couple of G codes loaded, as well as some other information about the printer. The micro SD came with it, which I'm very thankful for. So it's saved, and now I'm going to eject the micro SD, and now it's safe to remove. So here we go. I'm going to take it out, and it goes in here. I think I did it upside down. There we go. So then, what we do is, so we go to the menu, and it calls it a TF card, which I'm not sure what TF stands for, but you need to initiate the TF card, and then you can print from the TF. So here we go. Right here is our file. So our bed's all nice and warm. It's going to heat up a little more it's about 180 degrees. The extruder is about 180 degrees Celsius. It's going to get up over 200 degrees Celsius. So as you can see, that'll raise up, and the bed's going to get somewhere around 60 degrees Celsius, I believe. So that will raise a little bit, and then we'll get going. As you can see, it's heating up, and we've already hit over 200 degrees, and it's starting to go. And the nice thing about using the micro SD card is that you don't need to be connected to a computer. I could turn my computer off right now, and this would still keep going. So it's just putting out a little test stream of filament. And it's going to start by printing out a skirt. Now there's some different types of ways that you can prepare a print. You can have a bed, or a raft, which is a large outline of the shape. You can have a skirt, which is just the edge of the outline. It's almost like there'd be a clear circle inside. The skirts and rafts, they actually help the print adhere to the bed. You can do one without it, but it has more of a chance of falling off and ruining the print. So while this is print, I may get rid of our little train here so that we can show you what's going on. There we go. So as you can kind of see here, my computer screen went dark, so I can use this to show you. We have this is one strand big, and you can kind of see that that's very, very small, and I think it's either 3 or 5 passes of the printer makes 1 millimeter high. So making something that's about 1 inch high, that's a lot of passes, but it's very fulfilling to see it all come together. So we're about halfway through our print right now, and as you can see, I had printed out one before we got here, and here's where we're at in comparison. Like I said, we're about halfway through, and as you can see, it just keeps adding layer by layer, and if you look kind of closely, you can see, here I'll bring out the finished one to show you, you can see it does a lot of going in and then coming back out and in and out, which I really like how that kind of works, and I think it's just awesome. Also, a neat little thing that you can kind of see. Let's hope we can get the camera to focus here. Here we go. You can kind of see the lines on the 3D printing, and that is the layers it's adding. I always think that that's a really cool thing to have, that you can actually kind of see how it's made with all of it together. And so I have this here, and one of the tips that I forgot to mention is that to help the print stick better, you can actually, and here you can see it from an earlier print I was doing, you can actually just use a glue stick and put some glue down to help the print stick better. So here we're about to get done. We're gonna watch it get finished. We're about 98, 99% done. And and there we go. So there's our finished pawn. And now the nice thing is the bed's still warm. It immediately starts cooling down. But you can just pull it off. And there we have our finished pawn. And I'll get rid of the skirt too, as you can see. That's just a thin circle. But here we go, we have a pawn. And so that is how you can take a file that you design on Tinkercad and print it out on a 3D printer. This is Eric from the Bloomsburg Children's Museum. Thanks for watching.